Okay, so here is part 2 of my Module 6 video. So as I was saying at the end of part 1, there is an alt text feature that will help describe visuals like videos and pictures, and currently this is something that I am not using in resources for my students, but moving forward I'll be working on incorporating that. And as far as multiple means of action and expression, students can use Google tools to express their understanding of prompts, and they can type, they can use slideshows, they can draw, and so they have a lot of options, and they can customize fonts, colors, size of text, they can zoom in and zoom out as they need to make it visually what they need to support them. Like I mentioned, assistive technology is also very compatible with Google, and you can incorporate tables and organizers to help students plan and develop strategies for completing assignments, for keeping their work organized. And various teachers and students can edit, comment, and view one document. So that's really great for students who have their general education teacher, they have a learning support teacher, possibly an ESOL teacher, any sort of therapist that would be working with them. They can all collaborate onto one document. If the student's having questions, having trouble, it can just be shared or sent to other people. Now, I also was thinking about how to make Google Documents and slides more accessible, and I mentioned some as far as using alt text for visuals like pictures, incorporating the voice directions, recording my voice to give directions, and there are also many other things that I can do to improve how my assignments are for my students. One of those being tables. I tried to get the table that I had with the vocabulary words and their definition that I gave to students and their families. While I was able to translate that document, which is great, when I went to have it be read aloud, there were errors because I didn't have the correct table headings, so it wasn't understood when it went to be spoken aloud. So that's something really important to look into, the layout and making sure you're using all the correct headings, whether that's in a table or just in a document together. Now, these are accessible audio and video and also Word documents more accessible, but I wanted to get some more specific answers as far as Google. So I looked up how to make your document or presentation more accessible with Google, and it talks about how to include that alt text, which is something that I will be doing, using tables, using that comment feature, making sure the high color contrast is appropriate for students with visual needs. I know that was mentioned in Chapter 8. When you're using links, getting the text size and alignment to be appropriate or accommodated to students, making sure that if you are using a numbered list, a bulleted list, or headings, you're using them correctly. Because if it is going to be transferred into a read aloud text option, if they aren't numbered correctly, then there's going to be problems having it be read aloud to students. Providing captions, it just gives you directions on how to do all of those things. And there is more specifics over here, how to type with your voice, present slides with captions, using Braille display. So it gives you a lot of specific accommodations that you can use with your Google sites and Google websites. So I'm definitely going to focus on incorporating more voiced options, and having things be read aloud to students, and also descriptions on my pictures. So providing UDL accommodations online, these are some of my overall reflections, is I honestly didn't realize how many little features go into making a document accessible online. Personally, I've heard of UDL before, and it's been a huge focus in a lot of my undergrad courses as far as making your physical classroom space accessible and making sure when you are teaching or writing activities, there's, various modalities, students have options, but I didn't truly think about how all that would translate online, and thinking about how pictures and videos, how to make all of those accessible to students. Because a lot of people think if you're putting a visual up, that makes the lesson more accessible. And for some students that's true, but not true for all. I also think having a home base for students as far as a website or a program that they can go to where it's easy and they can access it, and every other support that you have is accommodated with that and works well together is important, just to keep everything organized and for students to access supports easily. And oftentimes, online features and accommodations that make assignments accessible for some of your students with special needs are going to benefit all of your students by putting captions on videos or having more text read aloud. That makes it accessible for some students, and other students are, of course, going to benefit from that as well. So that was my Module 6 reflection about OdysseyWare and Google sites like Google Docs and Google Slides. Have a good day.